Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. The Barbershop Talking Random-ish. I am your master barber, Rick Kane. We got my boy in the number one seat, scapping heads as usual. What's good, my boy?
I'm good. I'm good.
We got my boy to my left, Slim Fit, the sensitive, the finest in the building. What's good, my boy?
Slim Fit, really?
You did it.
Really?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You
That's
did
what
that. I didn't change y'all names.
That's
We're
what
gonna have to make a list of all your nicknames.
I know. I get a new one every week.
That's what it seems like.
Nah, this one's sticking.
This one's sticking. We got
Can never,
family.
Yeah, you can never remember my name on the show. I feel the love, man.
And it's funny.
Hey, Rick.
It's funny. Hey,
You
it's
see
funny.
it too on your face.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, what's her name? What's her name?
What's her name?
Hey, what's that girl's name again?
Oh, yeah.
Cat.
That's it.
That's it.
So
Yeah.
easy.
Now, be want to say crazy white lady.
Yeah.
But
Well, you can say crazy white lady. I know who you're talking about.
you would know who I'm talking about, but then somebody would hear me say that, and then it's crazy.
Okay, well, if you go to certain places, folks know me as crazy white lady because I've said, hey, I'm the crazy white lady that's been waving from across the street.
Absolutely. And you see this other young lady in the building. She actually is family. She has been in the barbershop before.
I have.
About 3 years
Maybe
ago?
two,
Yeah.
three.
Yeah. She came on. We got into a conversation about insurance.
Yes.
Yes,
There are many things I do.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Tell me who you are, why you in my barbershop, ma'am.
All right, I'm LaKisha Bolton, and I don't know why I'm here. I have an idea, because I have an opinion about politics right now, especially current climate, but I'm assuming that's why I'm here. Is that why I'm here?
Ashley.
Lee, why is she here?
She just said it. She know why she here.
I don't know why I'm here.
But you said
Just speak your mind.
okay. You said on
You
your
said
feed,
come on the show.
I need to talk about something, but I can't do it here. I was
Okay.
like, the barbershop is always open for this type
Okay.
of conversation. So you know why you're here. Let's
Okay.
go.
Well,
Let's
then-
get it.
So Miss Bolton,
Yes, sir.
what do you need to get off your chest?
Well,
Right.
I don't have anything in off my chest.
Uh-huh.
I'm in a place of strategy.
Okay.
Right.
I want to talk strategy
Okay.
Right.
in the current political climate.
Uh-huh.
The outcome has come out. We are
Right.
in a Republican trifecta and what that's going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's the play? What are we doing now moving forward politically? Because it's been a while since we've had a Republican trifecta. In my lifetime, I have not seen a Supreme Court look this way. And the Supreme Court used to be a neutral party that, whatever your grievance is, the battle cry is, I'm going to take it all the way to the Supreme Court. But now, do you really want your case in the Supreme Court under this current climate, along with our House, our Senate, and our executive branch? So I guess I want to talk strategy. What do we do now, moving forward? We can't talk about what didn't happen, the Who Shot John, the Monday morning coaching.
Right.
Like, where are we?
Right.
What's the play?
Right. Well, to get a little insight on kind of what she's talking about is like, you got to get off mainstream media. You can't rely on CNN,
No.
MSNBC, and Fox for your information. There's some guys out here doing the work on the internet, and they telling the real. So, just today, like, you got a lot of, you vote who you vote for. I don't care, right?
Absolutely.
But you got a lot of people having buyer's remorse right now because they're getting already directly affected by what happened. When I say that is, you got companies right now that telling their employees, guess what? No Christmas bonus this year. And the reason is because we got to prepare for
Tariffs.
what if the tariffs come.
The tariffs.
So they buying up They using the Christmas bonus money they would normally give to their employees to buy their kids stuff. They taking that money and they buying inventory, stocking it in a warehouse.
How much were
For
their CEO bonuses?
a year, they're doing a year's worth right now.
How much are their CEO bonuses?
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. I'm pretty sure. I don't know, but it doesn't. But
yeah.
I'm talking about the layman person, like CEOs, they may still get whatever, but you as the person that on the floor,
right,
that's directly affected. Like
Who's
most,
paid less to begin
well,
with.
right. So
Right.
most things about politics, like the people that make money, they not affected by anything.
They're just making more money.
Right, even
That's
more
what's
money or a
happening.
little less money, but they not affected. But the people that have to go to work, those are people that are really affected. So now they are putting these products in warehouses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, before tariffs, and they got to pay for these warehouses, right? So guess who's gonna get that past that charge?
We are.
Right.
We're gonna have to
And
pay
then
for
when the tariffs come, you're gonna get charged again.
Exactly.
So these people have buyer's remorse right now because they are seeing this firsthand. Like and the crazy part about it is I see videos where they're like, they gonna pay for the tariff. No, that's not how it works. But that's not how it works. When I say this, like you see all these videos about people that voted the way they voted, and the reason when you talk about the tariff, they're like, oh no, we ain't got to pay for no tariff. But then now they under realization with all these things that are happening right now that guess what, this is going to affect you, and they're having some people, not all, are having buyer's remorse right now. So.
But I don't understand the buyer's remorse because it's not like this information was not being shared by the individuals who planned on enforcing this. This plan has always been the plan. It's not buyer's, to me, it's...
Hey, I'm gonna say one thing. It's buyer's remorse because, like, Fox News is probably the biggest news station that puts out information to their people, right?
Absolutely.
So if you watch Fox News, they're saying one thing. Now, after they voted, like you hear it, right? So you vote, and now you're seeing the repercussions of why you voted. So it's not like you on the outside and you do your own independent research and you say, okay, well, this is what tariff is and all this. They just listen to what they like. They just listen to what they hear. And that's straight Fox News. So what I'm saying is like they're not digging to get information. Now buyer's remorse means like, oh yeah, I voted for him. He said this, and Fox News is saying this.
Well, think about how much time people who are working have to put into doing their own research. If you're working 40 plus hours a week, if you're a single parent, how much extra time you got?
20 minutes.
If that, and what you gonna do in that 20 minutes?
No. I'm saying no, not extra time. I think you have enough time. But what I'm saying is like I think what we do, which is wrong, is like we worry about corporate media.
Well, right.
And corporate media has a boss.
Mm-hmm.
They only can say what the boss want them to say.
Right.
Reason I say go, so say you watching while you cooking dinner. And so you watching CNN or MSNBC or Fox, go on the internet, put up YouTube.
TikTok.
TikTok is short too, but YouTube, these guys are like, they are really putting the information out. So you can really have a good decision. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it ain't really about like, you gotta say, oh, I'm gonna stop my whole life. Cause you're gonna cook, right? While food is cooking, put on this, and while you cooking, just listen. That's it. So you don't really have to take any time out your life to do any of this.
Who am I listening to? Like, who are the people that I need to be listening to that will give me the actual information?
Well, actually, I mean, either way,
There's
a number. Either way,
that's a valid question,
right?
Because, and I'm saying that because, person like myself, I'm not politically. And I'm gonna tell you why. Politics in this country has not fared my people well. So I try to help my people in places where I can help my people. And I don't believe that there's not a national nothing that's going to help my people.
Exactly.
And so, therefore, I tend to turn that down. And what I try to do, especially with this platform, is get people that are more informed, that are informed about certain things to come in here and have these conversations. So to me, that is a great question, because there are people like me that I ain't finna watch Fox. I'm not finna watch unless somebody say, hey, you go check this out or send me something to watch on it real quick. That's how I take it, because I don't think their platform is going to help my community.
Right. But Rick, but in saying that, the devil advocate is like, in order for you to do what you want to do, right? What we try to do, you have to even if you don't want to listen to them, you have to listen.
That's why her question is a great question, because she's asking, who should she be listening to?
Right. Well, no. You listen to other people.
I guess where I am with it is, back to your point and back to her point, you have to have a hunger for something. You have to have something that affects you directly for you to take interest in it.
Absolutely.
And so when you say that, you dial down politics because the political arena has not done your people well, but it has done your people. Your people have been affected by politics.
Absolutely.
It may not have been something that's positive, but the crime bills have directly affected our people for generations.
Absolutely.
Even the infiltration of crack cocaine into the black community, which has already been stated that this was a political act.
Absolutely.
That has affected our people. And so when I say what is the play and what's the strategy, and I almost kind of feel like I know why I'm here, but then that's still we're still on a podcast, and then, these words go out somewhere. It's almost like it needs to be a covert conversation, because I don't know because here's where I am with it. If you are going to strategize, I don't want nobody to see me coming in my strategy. And so we are going to be in a situation that is going to affect the next 50 to 100 years.
Absolutely.
By what we have in this 4 years. And I've seen people say, well, it's only 4 years. These 4 years in legislation, a lot of stuff cannot be undone.
Absolutely.
So when we are being affected by these laws and these systems that are going to trickle down to the common man, what are we going to do to combat that? Do we need to create a political pact? Do we need to do something to lobby for our people? Because that is how you effectively lobby. What do we need to do? And even if we need to separate ourselves from certain subgroups, because, one of the big things in the black community that we talk about is like, what is black? What constitutes black? What constitutes an American black person from a Caribbean black person from an African black person? So when we're having these conversations, though, who are we trying to benefit? Because my ancestors were directly affected by things that were done to them for 400 years in this country, but an immigrant comes in, yes, their oppressor may be somewhat, maybe the French, or it may be the British. So how do we even do things to affect our people? When we say our people, who are our people? And then what do we need? What is owed to us? Is it owed to us, or is it owed to them, or is it owed to the collective? And so when we talk about these things politically, because, there's a movement for the freedmen. Who are the freedmen? The freedmen are the ancestors of the American slave. And the 40 acres and a mule that did not come to us. So where are we with our reparations? We just sat here listening to a man saying he's going to give white reparations.
Yes, sir.
Before he gives black reparations.
Yes.
But the Asians have had reparations. The Native Americans had reparations.
Yes.
Everybody, and now you're going to throw the white people going to get the reparations in front of us.
Yes.
So when we having these conversations about education and them stripping the Department of Ed, well, who is that going to directly affect?
That's going to directly affect us.
Right, because we weren't going to school before there was a Pell Grant and all these other things. The GI Bill locked out black soldiers.
Yes.
So when we're getting these things, special education going away, what is that going to look like for our people? So when you say, it hadn't fared well, but it has done something.
It has done something, but that's why I say nationally.
Right.
If I want to affect anything, I want to affect. It don't have to be the community first.
But how do we have the systematic power to do that as a community? We don't strategize. So when I say let's have a strategy conversation, I'm talking about, okay, it has not fared us well. Let's put our heads together, and what is the play?
Right.
How do we begin to do that? Because the problem that I have seen, and we talking about with my people, is who want to be the head, who want to be the leader, who has to be the so and so and so. My name is who name gonna be on it.
We're the only people talking about a leader.
But it's
absolutely, and that's the problem. That's the problem.
Also, if
I don't need a figurehead.
Right.
But most of the time, when these things come together, that's how, from what I've seen, that's how some of the things start to get messed up.
How?
Because
Exactly.
outside influences.
Mm-hmm.
But when you identify a leader, you also target somebody that can be infiltrated.
Well, see, I don't need a leader.
Okay.
I'm trying to say, how do we have these conversations? The problem is when a lot of times when we come together and have these conversations, somebody feel they have to be a leader. Somebody, just things that I've seen, somebody have to have credit. And this credit, along with a lot of, once outside influence see that we all coming together making a move, now we started to bring in outside influence to help infiltrate that. I mean, the same thing that happened to Malcolm
It happened
Martin.
to the Black Panther Party.
The Black Panther Party.
That's how Fred got it. Was infiltrated because
Right.
Fred was a leader. But what I'm saying is, have a movement and don't worry about a leader.
How do we do that?
We were doing that when Black Wall Street and when Rosewood, that was a collective. That was a collective effort. I can't name a leader of those collective efforts, but I know that the collective worked towards something that was fruitful until it was infiltrated. And it wasn't even really infiltrated by us. It was infiltrated by the government. So when you say that the political system does not, I don't get into it, but they gonna get into you.
Right.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
How would we stop them from doing that?
Well, I don't know. That's why I'm like, I'm one person. I want to strategize, and that's what.
We have to educate and collaborate.
I think the education is there, but then what?
Well, we have to understand what each group of our government actually does. You know, you see stickers on gas station tanks, like whenever you go and get gas, blaming the president for.
Oh, I've seen those.
Okay, but we need
Congress
people.
does that.
We need people to understand where that's actually coming from, and that every time it's increased, it's not the president doing it. The business owners are putting more money in their pockets, and folks don't necessarily get that. So when you're talking about inflation, you're talking about all these things that are directly impacting the working class person, taking money out of their pockets, and you're putting it in the pockets of the wealthy.
What you're saying to me is exactly why this election went the way it went, because no one was really talking to the working class people. People were talking about policies that may not affect the working class people, and that was where the Democratic Party missed the mark.
Right.
When you were talking about social issues like abortion and those, well, it may not affect me. Like, I'm a 47-year-old woman. Abortion don't mean nothing to me, and I have sons. So, I mean, it may, if they choose a significant other, but them directly, they wouldn't be affected by that. So that is something that may not be affected by the masses, but the economy is.
Right.
But the misinformation of, they were using buzzwords, but no one was looking below the surface. So, like we were saying, the tariffs, well, I don't know what that is, and I don't know how that's going to affect me, but I do know, I like what they're talking about. But now here we are, because they're laying out their policy. And no one took the time to research the policy and how it's going to directly affect me as a person. It's now, I can see where the buyer's remorse, but ignorance is not an excuse for me, because I saw it coming, and it doesn't take a scholar to see what's coming. But I think it was more, if people say, you know, I voted for policy, I call BS on that. I really think it was like almost like a promise of white supremacy. I'm voting for supremacy, and I don't want to be the lowest class, but when it comes back to leaders, to the poor person, Donald Trump is their leader, but to the rich person, he is a figurehead to corporation.
He's a homie.
Well, he's a homie, but then he's also, these are corporate plays. This is where the billionaires are mounting up. Elon Musk is not snooping around for nothing. You know, and I'm more afraid of him than I would ever be of Donald Trump.
Exactly.
Because what he is trying to do is get these contracts with our military and with a lot of things that are going to be a global effect. So when I was going on my rant the other day, and Lee asked me, there's a lot of things circulating in my head, but what my frustration was a lot of people stayed home. I've heard things like people saying, like, if I vote for one or the other, they both are evil. One is going to, one is going to spark a civil war. The other is going to spark a global war. But I'm like, you're not going to stop that.
So I have a question real quick, because this is what popped into my head. We've had a black president that was male.
Okay.
Are we ready for a woman?
I don't know. But
I mean, personally, heck yeah. But as a nation, did that impact how people voted?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because this country is still ran by old white men.
Right.
And old white men, old black men, old Mexican men, old Asian men are not in this country.
You don't want
to in this country. Because a lot of other countries have had women leaders.
Right.
In this particular country, the old white man, the old black man, the old Asian man, the old Mexican man, and some old women.
Yes.
Don't trust women.
Don't trust women.
Right.
And that to me is a problem.
That to me is a problem.
You can see it in the numbers. Like if you watch the popular vote anyway.
Yep.
Like Donald Trump didn't get what he normally got the other elections, but then Kamala, she fell like almost 15,000 votes short
of what Biden
did. So what that tells me is that people just set it out again. Like
18 million set out. They just didn't vote. So this election was lost by the non-voter, not by the people who voted. The people that voted came out and did what they needed
both
to
sides.
do. But where I am with my fear is what that means.
Right.
So that means that we're going to have potentially 2 more Supreme Court seats that are going to go to conservatives. And we're going to have, we have this Congress that's just going to pass everything but the kitchen sink, and the Supreme Court is going to push, anybody that challenges anything is going to be more of things that are chipping away at all these civil rights that we have spent 65 years trying to get in place. Is chipping away from those things.
Right.
And then my big conspiracy theory about education, because, I'm an educator for 22 years, and my biggest conspiracy theory, think about it. In this country, the masses have only been educated for maybe roughly 150 years.
Right.
But globally, it was never intended for the masses that be educated. And so with all this education, creating these thinkers, I feel like the powers that be do not want as many thinkers. That's why we're getting this fast news. That's why everybody's dialed into social media and not really reading anymore. I mean, I feel like this is a reset. And there's going to be less people. We're already seeing it. Our kids don't read. Our intelligent kids don't read.
Go ahead, boy. I see it. Go ahead.
No, I'm about like you, Rick. I'm not into politics as much, but I do look and observe sometimes. But I heard something on the it might have been TikTok the other day, but it made perfect sense. You have Americans, you have Portuguese, you have Chinese, you have Japanese, Koreans, European, and then you have African Americans, right? We're Mexicans, right?
That's a
Do
whole.
you know what I'm talking? You know
That's,
what I'm
that's a
going
whole.
to?
That's a whole. That's a whole nother 2-3 hour conversation
so
about
to
this
kinda
African American thing.
Chime that in. It's like the guy said, "There'll never be change." You want to know why? Because we are the only ones that I just said do not have their own land. Greece, you're from where? Greece. Japanese, where you from? Japan. Mexican, you're from Mexico. America, you're from America, but they call us African Americans.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, how do we go about changing that when we don't have that cause like throughout the whole world to say, hey, we are here?
Well, now, the only, I guess,
Because I found that real interesting. I was like,
it's
you know
very
what?
interesting,
You know
but
what? He right.
But we do have a land, and that land welcomes us. It's just that we have
What
found.
land?
I mean, we didn't just we didn't come from anywhere.
I know
Right.
the history. I know the history, but I'm just saying as a whole, like if you really think about it, like this is my opinion. I'm not from Africa.
Right.
My grandfather used to say
Yeah,
that.
I mean, that's just my forefathers were whether, but that just doesn't necessarily mean I'm from there.
Right. You're descendant.
Yeah, I'm a descendant.
well,
So-
some of us are even native here. It's about finding out where you. It was some
Who? Name one.
native people.
Right. There's Native Americans, but there's nobody like us that are native to this country.
Yeah, they're
No,
called Khalifians.
What I'm saying.
Because
What I'm saying.
like, they got
Yeah.
Native
When I
Americans.
say
They're
native,
called Khalifians.
Okay.
Yes, they are.
there are natives.
Right.
They're called
that
indigenous
were
Khalifians.
our color that was here.
They built pyramids too.
It was stolen.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean when I see that.
Okay.
But to me the problem is for all these years we don't know who we are, and we're in a country that then really don't want us. Then some of us come from a place that might not want us.
They want us, Rick. They just want us to stay in our place.
Right.
I think they want
I
us.
beg to differ.
I think we're moving on to a whole different conversation.
Well,
We just talk about strategies and how we're going to do this. So
But
let's
that
go back
does,
to
that,
It plays
It's a
an
moving
issue.
conversation.
But it's
Because if
place,
you had to flee,
that. No, we moved the goalposts.
if we had to flee,
absolutely.
and that could be the strategy. If we had to
Right.
flee, where would we go?
Okay, right. I'm okay with that.
so
Something like
here's
that.
my
That was my
thing.
point.
One thing that you
Mhm.
brought
That's
up
kind of what
was how people of color differentiate
Mm-hmm.
Caribbean, Jamaican, American, whatever,
Right.
amongst the black race,
Mhm.
right? Well, that's a good point, and that's something that I've noticed in some of the conversations that I've had with different people.
The diaspora wars.
Right.
Mhm.
So if you can't collect as a race and explain to us, white people who don't realize it because we're not part of the community, then we don't know.
Right.
So having those conversations, I think, is more important. Like this conversation right here and being open amongst different races
Right.
and
It is.
educating me because I know my
Right.
pasty white self.
You
know?
It's like even with the whole conversation and the debate about the Haitians eating the cats, eating the dogs, and people were like, well, he's talking about the Haitians, he's not talking about us, and I'm like, you could not identify us from Haitian,
But
and then
it's pointing the
I-
finger. It's
right.
saying, let me point the
Right.
finger over here, so you're not paying attention. It's a magic trick. You're not
right,
paying
but I
attention
mean,
to what I'm doing.
even with back to that with being Haitian. Okay, I have Gullah Geechee ancestry. If you know anything about the history of Gullah Geechee people, they actually, some pockets of the
They
Gullah
did.
Geechee people came
Right.
from Haiti.
Right.
So if you trace it all the way back, a lot of people from Savannah, a lot of people from New Orleans,
South
they
Carolina.
they are descendants of Haiti. And when the Haitian Revolution, those slave masters put their slaves on the boat with them when they fled, and they settled in either New Orleans or Savannah. So
South Carolina.
when you say Haitian, that could still be my ancestry as well. So when we talk about different ethnic groups versus race,
Right.
yes, our ethnic group is African American, but being black is being black across the diaspora. But when we're talking about strategy and what would benefit us, like if a lot of things are chipped away to our comfort in this country, because it's about comfort. The reason why a lot of us don't want to leave is because we're comfortable.
Yes, yes,
But what I'm saying is we're about to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then what are you going to do with that discomfort? And does that lead you to saying, hey, I might have to live somewhere else? The reason why I travel the world is sometimes I'm looking like, could I comfortably live here if I had to? And that's a serious conversation.
Yes.
So I've honestly looked into that.
Oh, I everywhere I go, I'm like, I can see myself here, you know, and living comfortably. And so, you know, I can try. I do my family genealogy. I can trace my family back, you know, about 150 so odd years. But before that, again, I don't know what. Well, I haven't done the DNA ancestry, but I don't know what country I would come from. But what I'm saying as far as strategy in this country and what are we going to do when these laws, like education-wise, my youngest child is 18, so I don't really have to worry about public school education, but colleges, like, will he be able to afford to finish both of my boys? Will they be able to afford to finish? What is that going to look like? If you have a child with an IEP and special education, if the Department of Ed is gone, that's gone away. And what is that going to look like for your child being able to thrive in just a basic education? And so those are things that, you know, are we going to have to open up Saturday schools as black people and educate our own children on the things that we need them to know and how to go? To supplement
something
the
I
lack.
think we should have always been doing.
Well, I believe in that too, but I educate my own children. But I'll be honest, I'm guilty of, you know, that sense of community that we need. I haven't been very receptive of it because life is just life. You're out here living in life and trying to provide for your own.
Yes.
But that's a conversation, this sense of community that we need to go back to as far as what are we going to do if things are taken away.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
You was talking about what is our strategy, and I heard you say if we're going to strategize, you don't want to be heard. In other words, you don't want to raise your hand and say, hey, we're being strategized, right?
I feel like that's a conversation that's not for every ear to hear.
Okay. So my question is, how do we get that out to the masses that we're actually trying to
people that we want?
strategize?
I think we're so comfortable with technology and these little tracking devices that we carry around with us everywhere we go. We have to go back old school. I mean, it might be just word of mouth.
Okay.
It might just have to be because at the end of the day, this little thing be listening all the time.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I think in order for us to be effective in strategizing in a way that it will be less likely to be infiltrated, is we have to go old school.
So does that mean divide by race? Or does that mean class? Does that mean we can work together and strategize? What does that look like?
I honestly don't know. I mean, I still believe in allies.
Have to have them.
You have to have allies in order to be effective. But I do still believe that would have to be a sincere conversation.
Right.
And it may.
I don't think they're ready for. I think as a whole, we're not ready.
Correct.
Okay.
Well,
I can agree.
Yes.
But I say
Could
to
you
an
explain
extent.
that?
Yes.
I can say
Okay.
to an
Yeah,
extent.
okay.
Yes.
Because I think we're not ready now because we're comfortable.
Right.
But I think with discomfort, people wake up when they're uncomfortable. Like someone was
Civil rights.
someone was saying, like, during the pandemic with all the riots and everything, and that was the time when most black people, people started coming together. But that was because we was uncomfortable. We were uncomfortable with what was happening. And so even with, the Montgomery bus boycott, they were uncomfortable, but it took that level of stance of saying, hey, for that to happen.
Right.
So I feel like we have been comfortable so long that we can't fathom that level of discomfort. But I feel like it's coming. Right. And hopefully it may bring some strategy. But I don't, like I said, I don't have all the answers, but I would like to sit at a table with people that are solution minded to see how that could flow when some of these things are being chipped away. Because I do feel like these are going to be some transformative years, and that
sure.
lot of our lives are going to be transformed in ways.
Oh.
You know, COVID gave us a little sneak peek of that, but yeah, I'm just.
I mean, and you can look, like I said, you can steady look at the way the education is going, the things they taking out, all the books they don't want you to read, all the things they don't want you to see, hear.
Orson Welles' 1984 propaganda.
And like I say, that's chipping away at it, and then they know we quick to throw this, so they'll just throw some random and
some stuff in there, and you take it and run with it.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
The AI world is creating fake things, and you don't know if it's real or not, and you're taking it and running with it with facts because we're trusting of these things. So, you know, I don't have an answer, but I do believe that we need to be thinking of strategies of what this is going to look like financially, because I've never seen, like, the tariffs that they're talking about coming down. I don't know what that's going to mean. Like, we pulled ourselves together, you know, with the inflation, but not to this extent.
Yes, I got a feeling it's going to be different, because, boy.
It's going to be very different.
Yeah.
But this is what the people voted for.
Right, it's going to be very different.
And it's because of those lips of information that they're getting that's pointing the finger to the immigrants. We're going to blame the immigrants.
Right.
Even though the immigrants aren't the problem.
Right.
It's these people up here, but we're going to hide it and we're going to focus your attention
But
over here.
it was little buzzwords that they saw that people, you know, identify. Yeah, they're taking your jobs. Well, okay, well, I don't know about y'all, but I'm not going out nowhere and picking no oranges and I'm not doing that. But they're taking your job, just little buzzwords, because if you're unemployed and you feel like you want to blame somebody, hey, they're giving me someone to blame.
Yes.
But all the while, all the meat of the policy you're missing.
Right.
I mean, everybody talked about Project 2025, but I downloaded it to read it for myself. It's 900 pages. Most people are not going to read 900 pages of what the plan was.
Right.
And no one just sit there and conceptualize 900 pages of information just to say, oh, it's going somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
And nothing is hidden. It's in plain sight.
It's in plain sight.
And this group of people, since the Southern Strategy, have been working to take this country back from a people that they never intended on having rights as citizens since us being here. And this has been the play. It's a long game. And they're patient.
Yes.
Very patient.
It's also impacting class.
Oh, absolutely.
It's bringing back the class system in a way that we haven't seen before.
You ain't seen that yet.
Well, it's chipping away at the middle class.
There is no middle class, really. It's you're either up here or you're down here.
Yeah, so those things that we just forget, but I think we forget them because we've been so comfortable. You know, I mean, it's comfort makes people forget a lot of things historically, and that's to our detriment, especially us who were involuntarily brought here. That level of comfort, you know, like the Jewish people, their mantra is never forget, and they raise their children to never forget. But we have this selective memory when it comes to our plight, you know, so.
At the same
No
time,
memory.
we don't, as white people, we don't get the education of history in the same way.
Well, tell me more.
So what I mean by that is, if I'm born in 1981, how has it impacted things in my lifetime? How has it directly impacted me that I can see, that I can tie things to? Because when I read a history book and I see 1965, that was way before my time, right?
Did your parents come up in segregation?
Yes,
Because mine
they
did.
Yes, they
And
did.
did they talk about it?
So here's the interesting part. My grandmother passed away when she was about 98. She taught a integrated class.
Okay.
She always talked about her kids, always talked about them, to the point where I knew more about these kids than I knew about her life. You know, it gets to the point where you hear the same thing over and over again. You can regurgitate it yourself, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't hear this again.
Right.
that's what it was like listening to her stories. But then when she passed away, her kids had their own memorial for her when they had their class reunion, and this is in Macon, and they invited the family.
Okay.
Well, I'm working, I'm a single mom, I don't have time to go to another thing and make, that just didn't interest me.
Right.
In hindsight, I wish I had. But my mom took a picture of herself with 3 of the black kids that were in my grandmother's class, and at that moment, it hit me differently, because those kids were clearly 10 years younger than my mom. So there was that direct wow moment of, okay, now I get what 1965 meant in a whole different way. It gave me a different appreciation for the people of the black community that would come in and bring tomatoes because they know my daughter loves tomatoes, or that would hug me and say, tell me they love me, things like that, or appreciate anything that I did for them, or just being there.
Right.
Because I can see why you would not like me based on things that you lived through. So there are a lot of things that I feel like as white people, we're oblivious to. You're talking about being called African American. When I was growing up, that's what we were told because it was more politically correct. So, it comes to educating us as white people and saying, hey, this is how it impacts us directly now, and making sure that we understand, because I can go talk to my parents who might not know, and my aunts and uncles who might not know, or who might have been segregated from and not seen some of the things that happened.
Well, I like I said, I'm a little bit older than you, but I grew up with parents who never went to integrated schools, and grandparents who, they know the fear of not being correct in white spaces. They know that fear. And I remember my grandparents, were older, and I wish I could have asked more about their lives when they were living, but just that level of, you have to act a certain way in these spaces, or it could be to your detriment. And so being aware of that, and being a child of that, and growing up with people that had those conversations, that they were terrified in some spaces if you got out of line that this is going to happen. So knowing that firsthand, and then knowing where we are now and how easily those things can go back to that, that's something that I don't know how you can teach white people that.
It's
but
having those conversations like we're having now, and being open about it, and saying, hey, this is what we lived through. This is what our people lived through. This is our experience and our perspective on where things are going based on what our history as a people is.
Right.
I will never see things from the same perspective because I don't have the same history. I haven't walked in the same shoes.
Absolutely.
So having these conversations is the way to at least move us in the right direction, and making sure that we are allies and that we are having open conversations with each other when it comes to
And I definitely respect that, but when I talk about like strategizing and those things, we're going to need those allies in order for us to do those things. But a lot of the comfort level that we have come through politics, and they can be taken away through politics. And that's like the main thing is like, if there was not political action, those things, civil rights wouldn't exist. It just would be a continuation of what the social, it just would, we would just be living. It took politics for us to get to this level of comfort. But and even, politics can take it away. So that's where my fear is.
I think this is a huge awakening moment for us in general, because we're realizing exactly what you said, that it can be taken away. So we have to continue as communities of color or as women to keep fighting for the rights that we've already got, so that they're protected and that we don't get in these situations where we're going backwards.
Well, we
I
already
think,
had
I
back.
think the election say different though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause the election spoke
The people spoke.
what they
The people
wanted.
spoke,
Right. So,
but
so
it
I'm saying
was-
that the election spoke differently. Well, I understand what you were saying, but the people spoke
Different.
loudly,
They did.
overwhelming.
They did. But
So,
if you're
so
talking,
right, I get what you're saying. And in your experience, is like, I guess I call it one-offs. Like not saying you're a one-off, but like you have.
I'm
It's,
extra
no,
special.
you may be telling you like that, but we talking about the masses of people. Like I would love to have somebody on this show that felt the other way, so we can talk to them.
Absolutely. I
You know what
thought
I'm
I
saying?
had a
I
other
want
one.
two of them to come over
You
and
thought we were gonna have different opinions?
No.
no.
I thought I had
You-
someone that had a different
Just a
mindset.
different mindset. So
come
we
in
have an
because-
intelligent conversation about
that is
both
absolutely.
sides and why you feel the way you feel. But like I commend you, commend your mom, your grandmother, and that to me like that's like a one-off. Like that's not indicative of America. And
Right.
because America spoke on this
I agree.
this election.
But it was also across the races, across the genders, across the classes. It was some of everybody.
What was across the races?
Right.
As far as who voted for which
Right.
party.
Right.
But yeah, because black
Right.
people voted for the other side.
Right.
I mean,
So-
the numbers said it. Like
Right.
black people kind of knew what time it was if they voted. If they didn't know what time it was, they just stayed away
They
from
stayed
it.
away.
They didn't vote at all. But
Waiting for their stimulus check.
But the numbers, yeah, don't even get me started on that. But the numbers overwhelmingly said what around racial lines where people stood. I don't know if they understood where they stood, and some I really think they did understand where they were, but I really think they voted their interest, and their interest at the time was supremacy.
Mhm.
And so with our people, when we start saying you voting in this way because you feel like there's a privilege
Right.
in being of this class or of this race,
Right.
and then you don't want me to have that same privilege, and that's what you're voting for, then that's where I feel like I need to strategize, because I don't want to go back to something that I felt like we had overcome.
Mhm.
But again, it took legislation for us to overcome a lot of things. It wasn't just people had changes of heart.
Right.
It was changing of laws.
Right.
And so now the laws are changing
They're
again, but they're
changing.
going the other way.
Right.
Right.
You know, I don't think women thought that Roe v. Wade would ever be on the table until it was.
You know, I remember when it was brought up with the first George Bush.
Mhm.
It was a big deal, and I was a kid
Yeah.
when that happened. And I remember seeing it on TV and sitting down and telling my mom I was going to write a letter to Barbara Bush that I agreed with her because I didn't think abortion was right and blah blah blah. My mom's a retired pharmacist. I got a real education on what back alley abortions were that
Exactly.
day at a very
Mhm.
young age, and quickly changed what my letter said when I wrote it.
Right.
But it's understanding, not just women understanding that, but also their husbands, their boyfriend, men understanding how it's impacting the women in your lives,
Absolutely.
and how it's not just a form of birth control.
Mhm.
Right.
Right. You know, and like I said, like I don't do CNN, all that.
I don't
again,
either.
so I get a lot of my information just off these different sites, and I listen to both sides. Like there's a movement called, what's that, 4B movement? Look it up. I forget the actual what it really means, but I guess in a nutshell, like these women are mad because their husband voted one way,
Oh,
did
yeah.
not side with their body
Yeah.
and their life, so they cut them off.
Oh, yeah.
They're divorcing them. They breaking up with them. It's all. I mean, I'm just
That's how we
I'm
got
just
the
like,
rape
but you,
beginning.
but say you won't get that looking at the regular news. So like, if you want your information, dig for it. Don't rely on CNN because they got a corporate person.
Yeah.
They had
And
they had
CNN is
responsibility.
flipped based
Right,
off
yeah.
of the corporate, you know,
Right,
so they're
Like,
not
even
even
Fox,
really.
like even MSNBC, they flip towards the left.
Yeah.
They're not gonna like CNN try to be neutral, fair and balanced, whatever. And Fox is
That's
right.
interesting.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so if you watch Fox, you're gonna get heavy things about Trump. You watch MSNBC, it's about Democrat, and CNN tried their best to have both parties on, but it didn't work.
It's
So,
always
but
geared one
right,
way.
but so they still didn't give the information that people really need to hear.
Because they're talking
That's
about
on purpose.
Right. I just told you why.
Yeah.
Right, because they got bosses.
Yeah, corporate.
And most of these bosses, they tier one way, so you can't say something.
Right.
So, dude, people, do your own research.
Absolutely. The purpose of this platform, I've said it before, I'm gonna say it 1,000,003 more times, is to gain, and to access the information. This conversation has to continue, but I want to continue with in a couple of different ways. One, openly, and two,
Absolutely. It has to be that.
It has to be. So,
Right.
what I want you to do, ma'am,
You give me
keep
an
us,
assignment.
yeah, keep us. I mean,
Homework.
Homework.
keep shooting to me things that I need to look at.
Okay.
Because this is what I need. This is what I need. I ain't gonna. You can look at me as you want to, Lee, and I know what you think and do it yourself. I get it. This is what I need.
What you need?
I need this information. You know, hey, look at this. Just look at this. Just look at this. Same thing that I do. If I see something, I throw it in there. I'll chat because I think it. Lee, if you look in the chat,
I ain't doing nothing.
I see
I
your
ain't
lips.
doing
I ain't no
nothing.
what.
Bro, I'm on here ready to get out of here.
We finna get out of here.
Watch.
I'm watching it. We finna get out of here. But this is what I need because, like I said, I'm the conduit.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get it out.
Right.
Both ways.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, this is what I need. And if there's anyone that thinks differently from me, us, let's have the conversation.
I definitely welcome that.
Let's have the conversation. In this here barbershop, no conversation is taboo. I'm with it. I'm with all the smoke. And I guarantee you, I'm going to promise you two things. It will not be a rap battle. And two, you will be safe.
Right.
I guarantee that. But let's have these conversations so we can get our people more informed. I want to thank everybody that participated into this conversation here tonight. Anybody got any last words, anything they need to say?
I got one.
Go ahead.
Hey, people, do your own research. I mean, really. I mean, Sam, you laughing, but you always asking me about
Of
stuff.
course,
Do your
everybody.
research.
You
Do your research. I mean, do your research. Your own research.
I guess do your own research, but I'll give you one to research. The Heritage Foundation. It's been around for quite some time.
Anything, boy?
Thank you for coming, Keisha.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Kat.
I'd say go to congress.gov and actually read the bills that are being proposed in Congress. You'd be really surprised by what our congressmen and women are trying to pass. Georgia.gov for our legislatures, and whitehouse.gov for what's going on in the White House. And I'm like you, printing out the 900 pages because I want to read it myself. I don't want to get it from the little blips
Yeah.
of information. So I'd say when you're doing the research, if you really want to know what's going on, those are the best places to get it for yourself.
Hey, anybody do cliff notes on this stuff? I just try. Hey, it's about that time. I don't care about you looking at me like that, Keisha.
Oh, y'all.
I don't care about it. Give me the cliff note. I need the cliff note version. They created cliff note for a
You know
reason.
what? Because I know where you're coming from.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Don't-
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Same group of people.
Yep.
Absolutely. Hey, man, it's about that time. We gonna sweep the floors. We gonna clean the clippers. But before we do that, life is a series of moments. The past is just that, the past. Be thankful for it. The future. It's the future. It's coming. Prepare for it. Let's get on to the next moment. But the present is a gift. Enjoy the journey. Take pictures. Thank God. Sam, we're going to put you in the bathroom tonight.
Got it.
The shop is closed.